meditation and spiritual practice. Tuesday morning, as we're getting ready, getting closer to the High Holy Days, and this Saturday night we begin Slichot, which really the word Slicha means I'm sorry. Tonight, on Friday night and on Saturday morning, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to engage that process in a more honest way. For this morning, though, I want to share with you a topic that's dear to my own heart and definitely part of my focus for this month of Elul, which is the quality of patience, and how our own meditative practice actually begins to support our own sense of patience in our day-to-day life. So there is a classic work of Musar, of ethical character development in the 19th century called Cheshbon HaNefesh, which means an accounting of the soul. And Rabbi Menachem Mendel Levin says this about patience. He says, this is the affirmation that he uses, that every day, if we're wanting to work on patience, this is the affirmation. He says, whatever may obstruct me from reaching my goals, it is possible to bear the burden of the situation. So we'll just let that sink in. Whatever may obstruct me from reaching my goals, it is possible to bear the burden of the situation. And I find this statement to be fascinating in so many ways in how he words it. Because one is, he says, whatever may obstruct me from reaching my goals. Now, this is already saying that very much the core element of impatience, or of not having impatience, is having a goal and feeling like the movement towards that goal, whatever it is being frustrated by, however, that goal can be, I want to get in and out of the market in 5 or 10 minutes, and there's a longer line, it's going out the door at Trader Joe's, there it goes. And I have to kind of sit, or it can be that we want to, it can have to do with time, being able to get out of the house in a certain amount of time. And not everybody's cooperating with making that happen. It can be that we have an expectation or a goal for a task to get done, and other people are not doing their part in the timely way that allows the overall task. Whatever it is, there's a model in our mind of how we would like things to go, or how we think things should go, whatever those are, and reality is not cooperating with that model in our mind. So, this right here becomes part of what our meditation practice is very much about, is how do we begin to be present with the content of our mind without identifying with it, without saying that this is the only reality that's happening. In our meditation practice, we're able to be present with the contents of our mind, but without getting so caught in the story of it, being able to just be attentive to the energy that's present in the mind's images, thoughts, whatever, and at the same time, just letting it be exactly what it is, without identifying, without believing in it, without giving too much, just being with it. So in that case right there, that relationship to the content of our mind is, it doesn't define what reality is or should be for ourselves. So that's the first piece. Whatever may obstruct me from reaching my goals, it is possible to bear the burden of the situation. And what I love about this is there's a real acknowledgement that the rabbi is making that in the moment when we're not having our goals be met, it does feel like a burden. It feels like a burden because there's a sense to say, we are really attached to whatever the mind's content is in the moment. And at the same time, we can feel the pull to that, and yet we can know that it's okay. We can bear the burden of it. We can And in fact, I think on an even deeper level, we can be to a place we can relate to the situation of where it's not a burden at all. It's just what reality is. And yes, it didn't go according to my picture of things or my timing of things, but it is just exactly what it is, and I completely accept and give over to it in every way. So that's an even deeper level, where it doesn't even become a burden at all. But in this case, what I love about his affirmation is it's really a very realistic working affirmation in that it does feel like a burden in that moment, and there's an acknowledgement of it, and there's to say, even though it feels that way, you can be present with it. You can hold with it. You don't have to suffer with it in the same way. And most importantly, I think for him, from his perspective, from a Musar perspective, you don't have to react out of it, because that's really where it comes down to, is where does our impatience, our sense of not going thing our way, how do we then talk to other people? How do we make choices? How do we do things that kind of is our own trying to push our reality on somebody else? Okay, so let's find a comfortable place to sit, a place that you can be for a period of time without having to adjust too much. And I didn't do the spotlight. Let's see here. Okay. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai 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 yai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai 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 yai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai 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 yai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Ai 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 ai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai 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 yai. Yai dai 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 dai. Go ahead and allow your yourself to settle in. Focus on your body relaxing inside and out. Allowing the arms and shoulders and legs and feet to be soft and hanging out of your body. Belly to be full, relaxed, coming in and out. Even noticing the movement of breath as it enters through your nostrils or your mouth. And the way the body makes room for the inhale and the exhale. Just going to be quiet for a moment as you focus on breath and body. Allow yourself to be present with breath and body, witnessing the shape of your body in space, the movement of breath in and out. Being able to feel the energy that's present in breath, in the sensations in the body. The sounds around you, inside your house and outside. Everything filled with alive energy. Nothing is a distraction. Everything is present with aliveness, with intelligence, with godly presence, with the energy of creation. Even the very witnessing, the very presence of awareness is also radiating this aliveness. And become aware of how in this moment, as we're radically open to every aspect of this moment being filled with aliveness, with energy, with presence, that there is no sense of time. That time only exists when we begin to track, when we begin to notice the movement from one state, from one moment to another. But the deeper that we give ourselves, that we commit ourselves to being here in this moment, the eternal moment, the moment where all phenomenon just continues to unfold, the energy of creation dancing in its multiplicity of forms. There is only now. There is no time. There's no model in our head of how things should go, could go. Only the unfolding reality of what's here. The more that we give ourselves to what's here, the more that we open ourselves to what's here, the more that we embrace what's here, the more that we delight in what's here, time dissolves. There is only the presence of the One. Not us and the One, but just the One. And that which we call us is just an expression of that one presence. I'm going to be quiet now and sit in presence with you. And I invite you over and over again to just bring our attention back to the presence in this moment, to transcend time, and let our commitment to what is true and real and here be our guide. Ai, dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai. Dai, dai. Dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai. Ai, 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 ai. Ai, dai, 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 dai. Dai, dai. Dai, 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 dai. Yeah, 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 da, 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 yeah, da, yeah, da, 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 ah, yeah, 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 ah, da, 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 yeah, yeah. Yeah, da, 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 da. Yeah, 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 da, 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 da. Yeah, da, da, da. Thank you, everybody, for a beautiful sit this morning. Any comments or questions that people have, whether that's about the meditation practice itself or whether it's about patience and how these two things connect, or anything that you've been sitting with this week in regards to spiritual practice, please feel free to unmute yourselves and share.
I actually have something to say today.
Hi, Norma.
Hi. During the meditation, and I've been meditating a lot for the last week. Tomorrow I'm having both eyes cataract surgery.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so it's really weighing on me. Not only the surgery, but being exposed, going to the hospital. And since I have not been out, I did have a COVID test, came out negative. But I really needed this today, and I thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's like in the bringing the practice to your situation, Norma, is continuing to, as all of those, the anxiety is present about the surgery or about all of the aspects of it. Can you be with that experience, like those thoughts, all of that, and continue um, to resist getting caught in the story of it, but to just be present with, there it is. There's the thoughts, there's the anxieties, there's all of the pieces that are there. Can I hold that in a spacious place of awareness? Don't have to push it away. It's what's present. It's part of it. But it's just part of that energy of creation as it's unfolding in your own mind. So good for you. Yeah.
I'll share.
Hi, Sarah.
I think this really resonated with me because I'm naturally an impatient person. And I think that that's what meditation is about, is some days you're going to feel like you're really in the zone and other days you're not, and it's evolving and changing, and just being present with that and knowing that, well, not knowing, just being with it, I think is really helpful for me. And I've just enjoyed this process and this growth that I've experienced with this group. And I feel like it's helped me become calmer, more at ease throughout my day. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. The way that you expressed yourself, I think was really just important as I'm hearing, that you're speaking about it as a process. And I just want to underscore that, that it's not, sometimes you're in the zone, as you put it, sometimes you're not in the zone. All of us, that's the case. And really our mystics saw it that way. I've mentioned before the image of Jacob's ladder. Jacob had the dream that there was angels go running and returning up the ladder. And that becomes a metaphor for our mystics, that the running up the ladder, that's that expansive consciousness, that mochen de gadlut, that larger space, that sometimes, whether it's through meditation or something else in our lives, we move into that zone, as you put it. And then it's natural that the angels are going to go back down, which is that we're going to be in kind of our tighter place. And it's more about how do we open and flow with the process as it's happening, as opposed to insisting that the angels are down here or they're up here, or that it be one way or the other, which in a sense is also the source of impatience, right? Is insisting that it be one way as opposed to another, and the frustration when it doesn't come to another. So I really, really appreciate you articulating it that way. It's an important thing for all of us. And the second piece that you said, when you say I'm naturally an impatient person, what do you mean by that? If you kind of reflect on your own experience with impatience, what would you say is, I guess, your habit?
Well, I would just say that, well, I'm quick to react, and I like, just in general, I've learned to acknowledge it and work on it. So I would say I've gotten better, but I used to be very, I'd like it done now, or if I'm doing something, I would do it fast. I would just want it to be done. And so I've taken a look at that and worked on it, but I would say still naturally, it's my first instinct to want things done now.
Right, great. So there's kind of two components in that all of us, I think, resonate with, which is, one is you have a picture in your mind of the rate that something should happen, or what it is, or whatever it is, and then that reality, other people, whatever, doesn't fit with that. So there's the experience of agitation or frustration, what we call impatience, and then there's a reacting to it. There's a coming out with however it is that we do that. So you've been talking about, okay, you've been working with it, and that's what all of us do. So on one piece, there's an acknowledgement. One huge step in this direction is to be able to be present and acknowledge that I'm experiencing frustration with things not going the way that my mind expects them to go. And so right there, that moment of awareness, that it's not a given, right? It's not a given. In the moment, we think this is the way that reality has to be, but it's a huge step to be able to get a little perspective and say, this is not the way that reality necessarily has to be. This is just my mind construct. And in doing that right there, it gives us some space to not react. Maybe I'm not going to say that or snap at so-and-so because the problem really isn't with them. It's maybe that I'm, having this. So that's a huge step. And then the other step that we're kind of looking at is taking that step even more than even just not reacting externally, but is there a way that we can, in the moment of awareness, of recognition, to be able to let the story that our mind tells us of when it has to happen just begin to be seen as what it is, just a mental construct, just a play that comes and goes. You know, there's my mental constructs again. There's my sense of it having to be this way. There it is. It's just part of the stuff of the mind. That's all it is. And then it just, with that awareness, it dissolves. Thank you.
Rabbi Kavod.
Yeah. Hi, Maury.
Hi. I look like I disappeared here, but anyway,
Yeah.
It's very hard. I even went on this little trip during the meditation, which was so lovely and peaceful. And then I had to go on a little side trip to start berating other people for their bad behavior during this pandemic. And, you know, finding people's lives are upended all the time, not just because of what's happening now, but to have that patience, I'm finding is just more of a challenge now, to have the patience with others and all, you know, all of our fallibilities is so difficult.
Yes.
Now it's just more, I mean, like I say, worse things happen to people all the time, and I want to be mindful of that. But to have the patience. Well, last week it was very helpful. You talked about judgment on the one hand and forgiveness on the other. So we're talking about Rosh Hashanah. So I think, you know, it's very helpful to feel like, yes, you can be demanding and have your values and still have the forgiveness and the patience, but it's very, very difficult.
Yeah. When you see the consequences of whether it's other people's behavior or your own, but when you see the consequences being harmful, right, that really challenges our patience, and it challenges our because our expectation of how the world should be is one where people don't have to experience harm and suffering because of the actions of others. And you know, as Sarah articulated earlier, it's a process. So as you know, as you're talking about in the meditation, or then in life, I like how you put it, you know, you go down this little side trip of the side trip of berating other people alley, you know, like, but that's the tone that's really helpful. Berating other people alley, you know, it doesn't take it so seriously. It's like, yes, my mind goes there. Yes, it happens. Can I be present with where my mind goes in that direction without having to hold it so tightly, with being able to just see it as that's right now, that's the judgment that is present in my mind, for better, for worse. That's the energy of what's happening here. And I'm just gonna be present with the energy of that. I'm just gonna be with that without having to be invested in the story that it's, you know, that it's bringing. That's the practice. That's the process. It's when, as soon as we have awareness that I've taken this side trip, like just to even say that I've taken this side trip means that now I'm aware of the witness, the presence of the witness in me. I'm aware of the presence of awareness in that moment. And as soon as that happens, I have a choice of how I want to relate to this side trip that I'm going down. And that's where I get to choose to be with it in a non identifying way.
Of course, I can only control my own behavior and not that of others. So, you know,
Exactly.
ultimately, it's just, you know, me, myself, and I.
Exactly. And you can, where you can't necessarily control where your mind goes, you can choose how you want to relate to where your mind goes. And that's really the key that I think our whole meditation practice is about, is awareness, is how to choose how we want to relate to where our mind goes. And that's really the key right there. As soon as we become awake to where it's going, then we have a choice.
Yes. I also wanted to give some words of encouragement to Norma, who's having the surgery. And it's amazing. I've spoken to a number of people that have had major medical procedures during this time, and it's amazing how incredibly careful and on top of things our medical staff and hospital staffs are. I mean, they're making things just incredibly safe as far as those kind of anxieties. And I've really been impressed because people have horrible things happen. They have to have procedures, and they're going very well. And staff is just very impressive. And you'll be really excited when you have your loved one back.
Yes, I've experienced the same thing myself, and from hearing from others too. Is
Yes.
there any before we close for the morning, is there any last questions or comments that anybody'd like to make?
What the heck happened here? Huh.
I just want to say good morning. It was easier to
Morning, Audrey.
sit with, good morning. It was easier to sit with jumble going through my mind, and then it got quiet, then it came, but I wasn't like fighting it. So I see the process, as you guys have been using that word. So I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody. And Norma, you'll be in my thoughts and prayers for tomorrow.
I love that. I love hearing people be able to share the reality of the jumble in your mind, and that it's no big deal. It's just part of it. I love both of those things being articulated at the same time, because that really is about, it's not about getting rid, as we've talked about many times, of the jumble in our minds. It will come and it will go, but it's about how we want to relate to it. All right, everybody, what a pleasure. Thank you for your presence this morning. And let's see, I'll stop this.